Hi, Naveen. Welcome to our podcast where we interview capable individuals who are out to change the world in the corporate world. Today, I wanted to ask you about the book that you have released, Profit Leadership. It was your father's dream, which he fulfilled, and you brought it to life. And I wanted to invite you today to discuss and tell us about this book. So I want to ask you, why come out with a book? You are yourself a consultancy firm. You help improve manufacturing. Why come out with a book like this, and whom is it intended for?
Hi, Chirag. Thanks for having me with you. So, as you know, SSA is a 25-year-old management consulting firm, and we've had the privilege of working with over 1,000 industries worldwide. And the single important quest that we have helped solve leadership teams and boards is how to enhance profitability of their firm. So, inherently, this was part of our DNA as a firm, but it took us a lot of many years of reflection, soul searching, to kind of put it into a framework that is easy to understand, to embrace, and to deploy. So to answer the specific question of why profit leadership and why now, the seeds of profit leadership were sown at the peak of COVID. So when a number of our clients faced a very existential crisis of survival, and who just closed their books with a record year of profits, and suddenly staring down an abyss of losses because of the black swan event of COVID that was. And it got a lot of them thinking and soul searching about where the profits evaporated, and what they need to do differently to preserve profits. So we ended up helping a lot of clients in this quest of safeguarding their profits, and we unearthed lever after lever of profitability in those difficult months working with these clients. And it gave dramatic results for a lot of those clients. So this got us to think about codifying this into a framework that we could communicate effectively and make it available for leadership and practitioners all over the world. So that's in a nutshell of why profit leadership and why we chose to write this book.
So it's a framework. It's a framework that makes their mindset ready or makes their entire organization ready. Is it for the top management or the middle management?
Yeah, again, it's very holistic, Chirag. I think it has elements of what is needed for senior leadership. It has elements of what is needed for middle management. There is an element of mindset. There is an element of methodology, and a framework around it. The short answer is profit leadership has two levers or two parts to it. One is a change in mindset that is warranted to think differently about how to run the enterprise and how to answer the quest for better profits. And the second lever is the set of tool sets and methodologies that we are proposing in this book. And when taken together, the mindset shift and the methodologies, it will produce dramatic results.
So if there are a few one-liners. I love one-liners, and if there are any one-liners, and I believe your late father also was very very good at giving one-liners. So if there are any one-liners that you would like to give to managerial teams out there who are still resisting adapting a different mindset, what would it be?
So one of them, of course, quoting Deming, over the years, it's gotten a bit corrupted with different versions to it. But the loose translation is 99% of the problems are attributable to the system, and 1% is to the people. But we often get this wrong. We blame people 99% of the time, and don't figure out what's wrong with the system. This is possibly one of the one-liners that I'd like to quote, which we have referenced in the book as well.
So, profit leadership, is it a mindset? Is it a muscle memory that the whole organization has to develop? Which of the two?
So, profit leadership, well, first of all, we don't claim authorship to a lot of the tools that we recommend in the book. I mean, they are time tested and they're implemented, be it elements that came from the West, elements that came from the East, from Toyota Production System, and so on. But yes, we can claim authorship to putting it together in a framework that is very practical, that is very intuitive, and adaptable. So this is what we observed during COVID as well. There are a lot of companies that went belly up, that were seemingly doing well, They were doing well, perhaps due to the wrong reasons. They were in a protected market, or they had favorable tailwinds from an economic perspective. And we found that they were not investing enough in building the muscle memory for improving themselves proactively. And that costed them dearly when the challenging times came. They could not adapt well in time to survive. And we found the opposite also true. Industries that had invested in education, in proactively problem solving and adapting to change were much more ready to cope. And so we definitely encourage firms to not wait till a crisis hits them, but to actually invest time and effort in revisiting the organizational systems to see how good they are and to challenge and enhance them. And we have examples upon examples we have quoted in the book and first-hand case studies that we had the privilege to work with, and what we've had a ringside view as consultants traveling the world, witnessing organizations. We have quite a bit of those, battle scars to showcase.
Interesting. I read an acronym VUCA. Can you tell me what it stands for?
So VUCA is one of those management jargons that's gotten popularized lately and perhaps over the last few years. It simply stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. So in a way, it summarizes the world we live in. And there's a book called Black Swan that was written some years ago, which talks about even that unlikely events or events that could happen once in a century or once in a millennia.
So it's a southpaw in boxing. It just hits you when you don't see it coming.
Exactly. So in today's world, the number of instances of black swan events has increased manifold. Right?
So it's not once in a century. It is
it happens. It's not even once in a decade. It probably happens once in a year, or perhaps with a couple of times in a year. We saw what happened with COVID. We saw what happened with the wars that started and are ensuing. We saw the fall-off effect of those wars with the blockades and
Yeah. So is the elasticity that you want organizations to adapt, and this framework will help you.
Absolutely. So such frameworks help organizations to prepare themselves to cope well in a VUCA world. That's in a nutshell.
Also, do you think that there needs to be a change in the way organizations look at profit? The lens of profit is very cut since the capitalism has set in, that is cost plus profit equals to selling price. But do you see that the formula needs to be tweaked a little? Has it changed in your opinion?
Yeah, I think this has been in the works. Thanks to the Japanese Toyota production system, for instance, who showed us that profit is not cost plus margins, because the free hand of the market decides your profit. So profit is literally selling price minus cost, and this is fairly well accepted. It's just that have industries truly reflected on this, and it also we see a wide spectrum of industries. The automotive industry, for instance, has always had this discipline of challenging themselves on cost and peeling out wasteful expenses and preserving their profitability while they reduce the cost year on year for their customers and so on. But similar discipline has not been seen in many other industries, possibly because they are protected. There are some favorable tailwind that gives them demand despite not being so efficient. Long story short, we feel every industry needs to embrace the same thinking of and approach towards profitability.
In our next session, we will talk about each of the 6 frameworks that you have designed, and just enough for people to get interested about it. And also, if there's one key takeaway message that you want to give to leadership out there, that the guys sitting at the helm of affairs, what's that one message, if there's any, that you want to give them?
Well, I think I would love for everyone to pick up on the book, and it's a labor of love, and we have poured our years of wisdom, learnings from the road, doing consulting work that we do. But if there is one piece of wisdom or one piece of information that to pique your interest, is that I would rather turn it around as a question for them to revisit, and ask themselves this question over the last 2 or 3 years of running their firms. What was their entitlement profit, the profit that they truly deserved to generate in those years, and what was the profit they ended up generating? And our contention is that there should be at least a 20 to 30% gap between your entitlement profit and your realized profit, right? And that's the gap that we are looking to fill. through the profit leadership framework.
So there is a gap between what your true potential is and what your realized potential is. 20
More
to
often than not.
30%.
More often than not.
Wow, 20 to 30% can change the trajectory and
It can be a
affect
game
stock
changer.
prices and
100%.
so much more. I
100%.
think is a mindset of how unrealized gain somehow, if you don't see it, you don't cry for it, kind of a perspective. Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is where probably the finance and accounting professional also need to rewire their approach towards how profitability is reported and how they, how they hold managements to account
correct.
to profitability, and are they asking the right questions? And
Yeah, I think after Shark Tank and EBITDA and all these formulas are so hard pressed into people's mind that they sometimes don't even ask the question, how are you coming to that figure, right? I mean, are you leaving a lot on the table because of inefficiency?
yeah.
Tell me about people. Like most of the organizations fail because they fail to either train their people, motivate their people, or hire new people or hire good talent. What's your biggest? Do you have any case study where because of the right people or wrong people, organizations succeeded or failed?
Well, I think it's a make or break element. It's not so much about having the right people, because we believe that people come with the best intent to work. Nobody shows up at work with the intent of doing lousy work. But I think it's a combination of course, having the right talent or right skill sets in the organization, but also creating an enabling system, right? So there's, in the book we talk about systems thinking, and this is again an age-old principle that Deming spoke about and Akoff spoke about, and so on. So Deming famously said, a bad system can beat a good operator 100% of the time. So if you create lousy processes, even the best operator with the best intent will create defects and will create bad customer experience. So I haven't directly answered your question, but
Yeah.
but in a nutshell, blaming people is not fair. Relook into how the systems are designed. Does it
So
bring the right
systems and
capability?
processes,
And
controllership, the systems that you put in place is going to decide. Yeah.
absolutely. And systems are, it's again, systems are usually misconstrued as digital systems. Systems are all the 6 M's that go into designing the process: the men, machine, material, method, measurement, and environmental factors. So, again, the 6 M, men or people, is just one out of those 6 factors. So, you can see it has a minuscule impact on your performance as an organization in the larger scheme of things,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
rather, impact on failure, rather.
Interesting. Well, thank you for having coming over and sharing your perspective on how organizations can improve profit via the leadership or vice versa. For everybody, that's the book. It's available on multiple platforms. You should download it. And even if you can apply a few practices from this book, as Naveen mentioned, and written by his father, it will affect your top line and definitely your bottom line. Thank you very much, Naveen, for coming over.
Thank you, Chirag.
Thank
Look
you.
forward to more sessions ahead.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.